Welcome back to the Fitness Stuff for Normal People podcast. I'm Tony.
And I'm Marianna.
And honestly, the fitness industry, it kind of sucks. Actually, it really sucks. And we want to make it suck less. Instead of following every new trend that pops up almost weekly at this point, the goal of what we're doing with this podcast is to actually give you the knowledge and tools so you have the confidence to apply the best possible training and nutrition into your own life. Where today, we're going to play a little game. We're finding out what supplements you're taking that are a complete waste of money and which ones you're not that you probably should be. We're ranking the top 20 most popular gym supplements according to Google Trends and social media search result data from the past year. Ranking them from S tier being the very best or supplements that nearly everyone could benefit from taking, all the way down to F tier being the worst, or ones that are a complete waste of money in every and any situation. We're going to put the tier list up on the video version of this episode as we go along if you're watching, and if you're just listening, it's okay. We're still ranking each supplement out loud, and we will put the final rankings in the show notes down below. But don't peek ahead. Pinky promise. Before we get to that, though, thank you for real to every single person who's taken the 10 seconds to drop us a 5-star rating or review on whatever platform you are listening to us on. It is the easiest and freest way you can support us, and it actually makes a huge difference in who these platforms push our show out to. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. And if you haven't yet, I double dare you to do that right now.
And if you want access to every single one of our 12-week training programs programmed out in Google Sheets so you can track and guarantee you are making progress, like our Ultimate Push-Pull Legs, our high-frequency full body program, or any of the other countless programs we put out, you get access to all of them by being a premium member of the podcast, which is just $5 a month. You also get bonus episodes every single Friday where we answer your own questions, and you also get access to exclusive discounts, free downloads like the high-protein dessert recipe ebook we just dropped a few weeks ago, and much more. You can go ahead and sign up in the show notes below. And before we get into this exciting episode, a quick shout out to today's sponsor. As always, Legion Athletics. We cannot recommend them enough if you need to re-up on any of your staples like protein powder, if you want to try a new flavor, because they have so many good ones. I haven't even tried them all yet. If you want to get some pre-workout, if you need a good high-dose fish oil, which I personally just got my parents onto Legion's fish oil and their magnesium as well. You get access to your staples there if you just need to restock on some of your favorites. Head on over there. You also get 20% off your first order or double points on every order after that with the code FSPOD. We will have the link down in the show notes below for you guys.
I think the Max Ween. You ready to play a game?
I'm ready to play a game. I am feeling very energetic today. I don't know what's going on.
I'm full of energy just for this episode. I got excited putting it together. The last time we played a game was that overrated, underrated game, which I'm not going to lie, I liked just because we got to do little arts and crafts and makes like little overrated, underrated signs.
I like to use my hands for things. If I have something, it's the ADHD, but I'm so much more focused when I'm doing something with my hands. I don't know.
That's why I love the signs. We need more arts and crafts.
I'm very expressive.
That's why we're not as big as Huberman Lab, the lack of arts and crafts.
I don't even know if he smiles.
That's what it is.
Have you seen him smile? He's
Huberman?
very serious.
He's got a great grin. He's got a father-like grin to him. But anywho, this game's going to be a little bit different than the last one we played. So here's exactly how it's going to work. We have the top 20 supplements according to Google Trends and social media search result data over the past year. And for a supplement to rank high on this list, so all the way from S up top, A, B, C, D, and F. I don't know why we skipped D in the grading system, but that's how we're doing it. For a supplement to rank high on this list, it's going to have to do well in 3 main categories. Okay, so we want to define this first so you actually know what we're ranking these off of, not just if we like it or not. The first category is research. More specifically, if there's just legitimate scientific evidence that shows that the supplement actually does what it's marketed to do. Because what have we talked about a million billion times on this show about the supplement industry?
It's
the Wild West.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy out there.
It's the Wild West. It's the Wild West. Because legally, if you don't know this, as long as a company is not claiming to treat or cure a specific disease, they can pretty much say whatever they want in their marketing to sell a product, including claims that do not exist or have no proof. So if there's zero human evidence that supports any of these claims, it's getting a low score. period, the end, no matter what is being said about it. The second category is how effective the supplement is, or just because it works, will you actually be able to notice a difference when taking it? Will it make a meaningful difference in some aspect of your health, fitness, or life? And third is how valuable the supplement is in comparison to just eating real food. If the supplement is already something that most people get enough of through their diet, taking more usually will not help. We're also going to take cost into account on this category because that's important, right? We're
Mhm.
trying to save some money. Most people, no one can afford a home anymore, can't even afford groceries. We're going to take that into account. Okay.
But we have people out here trying to sell you a $5 protein bar.
That's the protein drama that Mariana just got me up
I
on.
was
What's it
I was
called?
catching
Justin Bar, or what is it?
is it Jake Bar? I think it's Jake Bar. I was catching Tony up on the protein bar drama that is on fitness TikTok everywhere. Yeah.
Now we got some work ahead of us. We got 20 supplements as we go down, and they're not going to be in any particular order in how they ranked as far as popularity, because some ranked higher in Google search trends and others ranked a lot higher on social media search data, which I think is where most of these trends come from. Okay, so we're going to get this down the list, and Mariana and I, we're each going to give it a ranking and then hopefully come to a consensus at the end so we can put it in one category, but we might disagree. Who knows? I haven't seen her answers yet.
Mhm.
So we're going to kick things off with protein, which actually has 3 different trending forms on the top 20. That's going to be whey protein, casein protein, and collagen protein, all 3 on the top 20 trending this year. And to give you all a basis of where these are, what they are, casein and whey protein are very similar. I think most people have heard of whey protein.
Yeah.
Casein and whey are very similar. They're both milk proteins. They have the best amino acid profiles out of any protein source, making them highly digestible by the body. The only real difference is how slowly or quickly they get digested. Whey is known as the fastest form of protein your body can digest out of any whole food source. Casein is one of the slowest, where it can actually leave amino acid content in your blood up for, I think, 6 to 8 hours is how long it takes to digest. But when you compare the two in research, neither one outperforms the other when it comes to muscle building, fat loss, anything else. The only difference between these two and what almost impacted my rating here is that casein is known to keep you fuller longer. And protein's important in a fat loss phase just to hold on to your lean body mass. But what's the number one thing we talk about as far as like the thing you got to fight to beat any successful diet?
Hunger.
Hunger, right? So if something's going to keep you fuller longer, like casein, it's actually something I'm going to try out for my next little cutting phase because I just got back to the gym after surgery, is trying casein to see if it really makes a difference, like a notable difference in my hunger. But either or, they're phenomenal. So I'm going to give casein and whey. I hate to start off the freaking day with an S tier, but I think I'm going to give them both an S tier rating
I think
because
why not
most
start off
people
on a
don't get enough of
positive
it,
note?
period.
I said S tier as well. I feel like we preach protein powder all the time.
I just don't like starting off hot. Like, I feel like S tier should be coveted because we don't have a lot of S tiers.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Let's just come out swinging.
But it's truly a supplement that I think every single person can benefit from. I really do, unless if you are like can't have it for whatever disease
Yeah,
reason.
the research is clear. It could help with almost any goal. The vast majority of the, like, at least US population, but worldwide, does not get anywhere close to enough of how much they need.
Mhm.
And it's relatively cheap. As far as a protein
Yeah.
source compared to buying real food, it's very, very cheap. So I think rightfully deserved. Now, collagen protein, on the other hand, is a little bit different of a story. So while those two, casein and whey, are both milk proteins, collagen protein is classified as the lowest quality form available, unfortunately, but it is honestly the hottest trending protein source this year. And it's just the lowest quality because of the amino acid profile that it's made of, where you would need estimated around 2 to 3 times as much collagen protein just to get close to having the same effect of what whey or casein would have. And it also has no studied effect on skin, hair, and nails. And to be clear, I'm talking about collagen protein, not different forms of collagen supplements, not very, but different things.
Yeah.
But the collagen protein source is what we're specifically talking about. And that's why I ranked it, honestly, F tier. We're going like top and bottom of the list to start off the day.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot in either of these categories, but I'm going F. What about you?
I also put it F tier. I mean, collagen just as a supplement, like F tier for protein, but then collagen peptides as like a supplement. There are like a few studies out there that show it can be beneficial for like hair and nail growth, but there's not a lot out there. Like I would still put collagen peptides just in general as like D leaning towards F, to be honest.
Oh, if they were on the list, I'd probably put them like CD. Honestly, probably closer to
D,
D,
yeah.
which we did. Did we do a whole episode on collagen
I don't
before, or just
remember if
a
it was a whole
part of
episode
one?
or a round robin. I think we did like we were talking about multiple topics.
Okay, 'cause yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah, so I think I agree with you there. That's a little bonus. We're going over 20, but what's up next on the rankings?
Next we have
What's up?
ashwagandha, which
The glizzy
we
pill.
just recently deep dove into ashwagandha, but if you're not familiar with it, it's an herb. It's an adaptogen, which that word is very buzzworthy lately, which includes like cordyceps, rhodiola, maca root. Those are all adaptogens. And ashwagandha, people use it the most for, I would say, stress and anxiety. Is that where you see it the most used for?
Okay. On social media over the last year, which is why I think it made the trending list, I think this actually had the most search results out of any social
Yeah.
media search result. It was mostly for stress. That's what it's been used for so long. But on social media, there was that stupid trend where it was called the glizzy pill because guys were promoting that it increases your testosterone, which it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's been shown over and over again to not do that. Do you remember that, the
I
glizzy
remember
pill? And
seeing
everyone was
that.
like lighting up. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
so stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's mostly used for stress.
Mhm.
I think people just took those claims the other way.
Yeah. And there is significant human research showing that it decreases stress, anxiety, and cortisol levels, mainly associated, like the anti stress anxiety effects are mainly seen in those with chronic stress. And it may also improve sleep quality. And then there's a little bit of research showing that it could improve power output during intense training sessions. So this is something
Mm,
that I think is well studied and we'll get even more research on it because there are so many new studies coming out about the positive effects on anxiety and stress. And it's not a cure all by any means. Like people do position this, like most supplements, as something that is going to fix you, like make all of your anxiety and stress go away. No, but it is a great addition to your lifestyle, like to add in to try, and has a lot of potential to be helpful. But it does not increase your testosterone. It does not improve your blood sugar or insulin response, as some people also say. So, looking at a anti-stress, anti-anxiety standpoint, I would put it at B tier just
okay.
because people experience, like, I wouldn't put it at A just because people experience so many varying levels of stress. And a lot of the research is more so people who are like have the really, really chronic stress, have it at more of an extreme
Yeah.
level.
I had a hard time ranking this one because from what I've read, and it's kind of crazy, I think its main effect and why it's good at all of these things is just because it's really good at decreasing cortisol.
Yeah.
Like, I think in research, I've seen it decrease blood cortisol levels by up to 28%, which is more than most prescribable medication can do, which is insane. So the effect of how this works is huge. And it's well studied, it's well researched. So that's like a very big plus on
Mhm.
this one. But I think the big issue is even though cortisol is seen as like an evil, quote unquote, hormone, I don't think suppressing any hormone, insulin, cortisol, you name it, whatever, 24/7 around the clock is necessarily a good idea. Cortisol is helping our bodies. Like without cortisol, we'd die.
Yeah.
It
We need it.
helps control like cortisol, control our blood sugars, assists in memory, helps wake you up in the morning. It's a huge role in adapting your body to stress. So constantly crushing that isn't always a good thing. I could see this being used intermittently for more, I'd say, stressful seasons of life. I think I initially thought A, but I'm going to give it a B with you because it's a good tool to have, but it's not even close to something like a protein that would benefit 90% of the population year round.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
I think I was going to go A, but I think you're right. I think it deserves a B tier
Yeah,
on that one, but still a solid freaking supplement.
for sure.
Up next, we got magnesium glycinate, which too, we're going to base this off the claims given on most of the products and marketing, not based on what people on social media say, because when social media gets a hang of things, they blow it out of
Mhm.
freaking proportion.
Yeah.
Out of proportion. I know magnesium went through a phase. I feel like this was around Christmas time last year. Not as much lately, but like late last year is when I remember everyone and their mother was talking about magnesium in some form.
Yeah.
And to give a little highlight, magnesium is just an electrolyte. It's very important to our bodies, responsible for over 300 biochemical enzyme reactions for your athletic strength, your performance, your cardiovascular health, your bone and mineral density, mental health, cognition, mood, all of these things. And it can really have a negative impact if you're not getting enough of it in your diet. And that's where you see things like insomnia popping up, low energy and fatigue popping up, muscle weakness, high blood pressure. If you're not getting enough of it, and this was through the University of Notre Dame, they actually found that around 75% of Americans don't get enough magnesium through their diets alone. I mean, it makes sense. There's not a lot of high magnesium foods. We talked about that in a separate episode. One of the highest magnesium foods is almonds. And I think you'd have to eat like 800 calories worth of almonds to get your RDA of magnesium. So it's not easy to get from your diet.
Mhm.
It's just not realistic for people. So specifically supplementing with a magnesium supplement would make a lot. I'm going to go S tier again. This is one of my top 5 supplements I think I recommend for most people.
I initially put it as A, but then when I thought about how it is so difficult to get through diet alone, just because I'm wary to say that about like any supplement, it's one of those things that like, yeah, I would recommend it to almost anyone, but magnesium I would because of how difficult it is to get in the diet and of how significantly impacted people are by low magnesium levels.
And like the noticeable difference you can
Yeah.
notice in your, for me at least when doing it, my energy and fatigue through the day completely changing after about a month of taking it consistently blows my mind. Like the actual effect it has. Some good brands of different forms of magnesium, pure encapsulations, and now supplements are good on Amazon. Legion has a really good sucrosomial magnesium. What's next?
Next is
What we got?
greens powders. Specific callouts are like Athletic Greens, AG1, and Bloom Greens powder, which we have.
Yeah, the 2 specific ones that were on the trending data were AG1 and Bloom
Yeah.
Greens. Those are the 2 that were actually up there, not just greens in general, but
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about too.
Yeah. And like since greens powders are a concentrated form of vegetables, it's really easy to want to connect them to the health benefits of a diet rich in veggies. But the research on actual food can't be extrapolated to powders. But that's what a lot of people do here. They will take research on specific foods and be like, oh, because this is in this powder, then it's going to do the same thing. That's not at all the case. There is no
Mm.
human data on greens powders in general and how they impact your health. There's research on like multivitamins, which we'll get into soon, and there's no research in humans on these specific products either. So that on the forefront, there being little to no research is like the first thing that's like, okay, it's going to be lower on the list. And it's also from a cost standpoint, very expensive, $79 a month.
That's what they advertise. It's $115 if you just want a 1 month. If you just want to do 1 month, it's $115.
Oh, so like the
It's
subscription.
only it's 79 if you subscribe to it monthly and sign up for like a minimum of a 2-3 month subscription. Because 79 is still expensive, but it's not like astronomical. It's if you want to go and just buy 30 days of AG1, it is $115 for it to show up at your front door.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And then some like key vitamins, minerals like magnesium, calcium, copper, chromium, selenium are all well under the recommended daily value. Iron is completely absent. So if you are, this is for AG1, if you're marketing yourself as something that is going to hit all your bases, cover all your micronutrient needs, I want to go in there and look and see, is it hitting all of my micronutrient needs? No, it's absolutely not. There's no research to suggest that anything about greens powder itself may contribute to energy, which you'll see a lot of influencers take their greens and be like, just makes me feel so like energized in the morning. Like really wakes me up. It's like you're just drinking water, you're getting hydrated.
It's usually an LA influencer whose normal breakfast is a vape and an iced coffee.
Yeah.
So I think that's why they feel the energy from
Yeah.
AG1 is it's not
Yeah.
that.
So it's just the ingredients aren't great. Also, having proprietary blends, one of the biggest red flags in any supplement. I will say over and over again, do not buy any supplement with proprietary blends because you do not know what you're getting. So I gave it an F tier.
Oh, you're going mean on it.
I am.
F tier?
Mhm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
AG1 specifically, I might put you there
AG1 and Bloom.
with in that video I did with AG1, I compared it to just an $11 multivitamin I found at Walmart. So a $115 greens powder compared to an $11 multivitamin. And the $11 multivitamin from Walmart actually had a much higher dose and amount in the vitamin and mineral content. And on the other side, in the proprietary blends, there was 50 total ingredients listed. on athletic greens. And you can do the math out if you want to on proprietary blends, because you know that the first ingredient has to have the most, the second most. They have to do it in order. So you can, with the math, see what you're getting enough of and what you're not. 49 out of the 50 ingredients on that side of the label were below or did not have a clinically effective
Yeah.
dose.
Yeah.
If we're talking about just athletic greens and bloom greens, I would say F. But if we're talking all greens powders and some that I've looked at, there's a lot of different ones that are marketed for different reasons
Yeah.
that aren't as scammy, shady, or shitty. That would be a good multivitamin if you actually took it and things like that. So I'm going to give it a D for greens powder as a whole, but AG1 and bloom specifically, I would rank F. If that makes sense. That's right.
I
Either
disagree,
or,
but I
they ain't
also
good.
see where you're coming from.
See, I'm trying to be
No.
partial. If I give Fs to everybody, then an F doesn't mean anything.
F, I'm a hater.
I'm trying to really save the
Hater.
F for the knuckle sandwich to the face.
But I feel like it's
I expected. I didn't know what you were going to give it, but I'm like, there's zero chance you're not. Okay. On to the next, though. We're talking about it. This one's been hot recently. They're having a moment. Mushroom supplements that we did in a round robin recently. They're having a little bit of a moment. And one of the big problems, I think, with it is quote unquote mushroom supplements. It could be anything. There's countless forms of mushrooms, some with studied health benefits, some without. So it's hard to rank just mushroom supplements. And specifically, we're talking about adaptogens and herbs, not psilocybin mushrooms that you can take to hallucinate or microdose in supplement form. We're talking about the adaptogens and herbs specifically. I would actually give the psilocybin style, I think I'd give that a pretty high rating, to be honest with you. That's for another episode. But that's the big problem with them, is it really, really depends. There's lion's mane mushroom, there's reishi, there's chaga, there's cordyceps, there's turkey tail, and even more. Like there's so many more. So this specific mushroom supplement matters. Are they using, one, studied mushrooms and actual strains that have been proven to do something? And then two, are they at a good enough dose or at that clinical dose to actually impact your health? Most that I found, and this was insane to me, I was trying to put this for this episode because I'm going to rate it, and I'll go over this, not at an F tier at all, right? More of a CD. But I was going for and seeing like, okay, if you were going to buy a mushroom supplement, what are some good brands? The first 2 pages of Google, every single one I went to was terribly underdosed and terrible quality of mushroom. It was insane. It would be hard as a consumer to find a quality one.
Yeah.
Like the mushrooms that I think are worth looking into are reishi, like with actual evidence behind it. Reishi, which mainly helps modulate your immune system and helps fight oxidative stress. The clinically effective dose of that is about 1.5 to 2 grams per day. That's important. If you're getting less than that, it's not going to do anything. Lion's mane, which is noted for its potential cognitive function benefits, including memory, focus, and actually some ability to stimulate nerve growth factor or NGF synthesis. The clinically effective dose for that is 2 to 3 grams a day. Cordyceps, which I think is really cool, which is more geared towards athletic performance by enhancing your body's ability to generate ATP and really improving the efficiency of oxygen delivery throughout the body. And that clinically effective dose is between 1 and 3 grams. So for example of this, Athletic Greens has reishi and shiitake mushroom in it. Shiitake is another one with some decent health benefits. The clinically effective dose for each of those are above 1 to 2 grams. In AG1, it has less than 50 milligrams, i.e. about 2 to 5% of what it would take to actually make a difference in your health. Mudwater, another common mushroom brand, has only 500 milligrams, so less than a quarter of the clinically effective dose. Life Cycle, pure mushroom supplements, Host Defense, Four Sigmatic, which is a very trusted brand. I haven't looked into them before. They do mushroom coffee as well. Rise and Genius brand mushrooms, all almost criminally underdosed when it comes to these mushroom supplements. It blew my mind how low of a dose all of these had. And this even includes, I did not find a single mushroom coffee that had even a quarter of what would be considered like the bottom end of the clinically effective dose. And I know that's a hot thing lately too. The only okay companies I found were one, Double Wood brand, which you'd have to buy the individual ingredients, like the individual mushroom for. Legion, which they have just lion's mane and reishi, so not the others, but lion's mane and reishi, they actually have it at a good dose. And then Real Mushrooms, even though, and I had to put an asterisk next to Real Mushrooms, you can buy the individual ingredient but you'd have to take 3 servings to make the clinical dose because each serving is very small. So overall, I'm going to give this one like a C to a D just because it's not going to make a massive impact in your day to day. If you're someone who can afford a little bit extra, especially I think like lion's mane or reishi would be cool just because you could see if it really makes a difference in how you handle stress and your cognition through the day. But like meaningful difference, it's not going to come anywhere close to things like we've already ranked high:
Yeah.
protein, magnesium. So I'm going to give it like a C to a D
Yeah.
tier for mushroom supplements. Most of it like an F.
Yeah. I gave it a D because there is on some of them, like there is research out there of a clinically effective dose. Like that was to me, I'm like, okay, like some people it may help like a tiny bit. Like there is something there. Like personally, I don't think it's necessary. I would never really think to recommend it, but because there is some of that like good data out there, and I think there's going to be more in the future for sure. That's why I didn't give it enough.
Yeah, it's definitely something. Not necessary is the best way to describe it. It's something if you have the flexibility and budget to do it, cool to try out, but it wouldn't make a massive difference. I think that's why we both put it pretty low. On to the next, which I know is on younger trending form. I don't think too much older, like mostly 20s, 30-year-olds. But this is pre-workout and or caffeine is the next trending supplement. Pre-workout on social media, at least, maybe not your side because I know you're not on my side, but I think dudes get obsessed with the dry scoop, the double scoop,
That's
the
just been a
OD
thing I feel
on
like for
pre-workout.
so long. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I know it's a dude. I don't know if you see it too much, but it's almost a game on social media. It makes me laugh, but it's also a little dangerous because I think one of the trend twins got hospitalized because he did like a double scoop. It was like 900 milligrams of caffeine before a
There was
pre-workout.
a
His heart
trend
was
going
giving out.
around of people in the hospital from Celsius, and these people were having 2 Celsius a day, which is 400 milligrams
400
of
milligrams,
caffeine.
but even that's not
But
wild.
still, if
I
you're at
think the
like
daily limit.
over the course of a year and your heart, everyone's heart reacts to caffeine differently. Like that's
Yeah.
still a lot of a like stimulant on someone's heart. Like it's expected that some people are not going to respond the best to 400 milligrams of caffeine every day.
And I was the side note on the trend twins is there's probably also something else that led to the hospitalization
Yeah.
that wasn't just caffeine. Trend. Anywho, this one's another, it's a tough one because there are great pre-workouts and there are really crappy pre-workouts, depending on what's actually in them. So it's hard to actually rank pre-workouts as a whole, but the one consistent ingredient that boosts the performance the most is caffeine. Has a massive studied effect on increasing strength, power output, your cardio, helping you get a lot more out of your workouts. It also, and take this with a grain of salt, slightly increases your metabolism, how many calories you're burning. It slightly reduces hunger. All of those things kind of aiding in fat loss too. So it makes sense for a lot of people. The other ingredients that are good for like performance endurance are things like citrulline malate, which is good for blood flow, beta alanine, betaine. Those are the big ones that I usually look for performance if you're going like non-stem. And I'm going to be honest, and this one shocked me with the rating. I'm going to give it, I think I'm going to give it an A tier because it makes such a difference in your workouts that if you become dependent on it, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah.
But it could help so many people get motivated, have better workouts, see better progress because of that. I honestly think a good pre-workout belongs in A.
I also gave it A too. Unless if obviously you have a condition where you can't have like caffeine like that,
Yeah.
you really can't go wrong with it, and just keep it within, I would say like if you don't want to be dependent on it, like cycle on and off of it every now and then. Make sure you have days where you're not having caffeine. If it's a worry about for you, like if you've just been taking your same scoop
Yeah.
every day and you're fine and you're good about it, like of course in the beginning, if you were not taking any caffeine before your workout and now you are, like you're going to see more of a difference in the beginning. It will level out in terms of its effect. But if you're worried about it, just like cycle off of it a few days of the week. But I mean, there's a reason why certain levels of caffeine are banned in the NCAA because of its performance.
Really?
Yeah. If you do a drug
I
test,
did not know that.
there's like certain levels that you shouldn't have of caffeine because of its performance enhancing effects. It's like a super high amount that you would like literally have to like artificially inject. But still, like there is so much data on how caffeine improves performance that like A. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Bruh, do you remember the first time you ever took pre-workout
I do.
in your life?
I do. I used to it was C4. It was C4. It was in college. And I literally like I also I'd never taken Adderall before yet. Like it
It's ecstasy.
it's
It is
crazy.
euphoric. Euphoric. Oh my goodness. It's the first time is you're always going to chase that high.
Yeah.
You're always gonna be chasing that high. Yeah. And some good brands, if like for like some stacked and clinically dosed ingredients. I did a tier list on this a long time ago for pre-workouts. Gorilla Mind makes a really good one. Legion is the one I've been using for a long time. Rise, but specifically Rise Godzilla. Their normal one's not
I
that
do
great.
Rise a
Godzilla
lot.
is actually,
I see a lot of people who
yeah,
like
they're
Rise.
super solid dose. Sebum actually makes a really good one. And honestly, Ghost. I didn't think Ghost would have made one, but when I looked at the ingredients, actually very, very solid dose.
Mhm.
So that one's going A tier. Now, this next one, when I put it on the list, shocked me when I read it that it came up, but it is very
I
real.
saw this and I was like,
And that
"What?"
is Viagra. You did not mishear what I just
I
said.
did not know this was
Viagra.
popular. I mean, amongst old
Yeah.
people, I thought it was popular, right? It
Maybe
just
not for workouts, but
I'm
maybe for something else.
confused.
But over the last year has been crazy. I mean, companies started and exploded prescribing Viagra for health,
Wait, but
wellness,
isn't that not a
and
supplement?
training.
It's a prescription.
People are taking it as a supplement. It showed up in all the data with trending. So we put it here. And okay, I have a rule in my life in fitness on this channel, on this podcast, right? No matter how ridiculous and non-serious something sounds, I'm not going to dismiss it
No.
until
I
I
mean, it's
actually know
fair.
why.
Like,
Okay. So when I saw this, I was the biggest eye roll you've ever seen in your entire friggin' life is what I gave it. But I was like, you know what? Let me check it out. Because I just wasn't super familiar with what it could be doing, why it would be working. But Viagra or tadalafil are both PDE5 inhibitors. That's what they're called, that are traditionally used to treat ED in men. That's what they've been around for decades. Okay. And when looking into it more, there actually might be some legitimate use here. Now, a normal dose of tadalafil for ED is about 10 to 20 milligrams. But how these companies are marketing it towards health, fitness, workouts, things like that are in semi like micro doses of about 2.5 to 5 milligrams on more of a daily basis. Now, all PDE5 inhibitors do is they work by helping the body and blood vessels relax and open up, which allows more blood to flow through them. That makes sense why it would help for that thing that it's normally used for. Better blood flow relaxes these vessels. Now, this increased blood flow, yes, can help with that, but it's also now actually being explored clinically for high blood pressure and improved oxygen and nutrient delivery to all tissue in the body with actual new emerging research as like a daily thing taken, not just a thing around sex. And this is what blows my mind is this was an episode forever ago when we did it on the top 5 metrics you should be paying attention to when it comes to your health. Almost half of Americans have hypertension, clinically diagnosed hypertension or high blood pressure.
which
Okay. Which is the leading cause for heart disease, AKA the number one killer in the United States, right? So this is a big freaking problem. And this actually seems like something that might help. Now, younger people, they were taking it for pre-workouts and for a pump, which I'm like, I don't really know if that's worth it at that moment. And there's not a ton of long-term health data on this. But since it's being explored, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to give it like a C to a D tier. I could actually see this being a more realistic supplement taken
do you need it
for
prescribed?
most
Like,
people just when it comes to blood.
could you get it over the
I
counter?
From my understanding currently is you need a prescription. You can't just go buy it somewhere, but I've seen a lot of ads on social media, so maybe it's like a telehealth thing for these like fitness-based brands and they call it something else, but it's just tadalafil in these pills. But if it's actually having an impact on something as problematic as blood pressure, I could actually see that being useful for a lot of people in the future. I think it's almost a third of even people in their 20s have hypertension.
I gave it a D just because I think it's really fast. I do think there's potential there, like the mechanism behind how it works on like your blood pressure, that completely makes sense. I think that there's going to be probably, now that this is the first time I'm seeing it used in this space, I think there's definitely going to be more research. I don't think there's enough yet. I don't think there's enough. And
Totally
I
valid.
see the potential for a lot of abuse of it because it's Viagra.
I could definitely see it, which I'm not familiar with, and it didn't show too many negative consequences of it at normal doses, but I could see this being something that people abuse, overuse.
And I'm sure there's no research in women. Like, I'm sure there isn't.
I think some of the blood pressure research was men and women.
Yeah.
Definitely less is in
Women long term. But yeah, there's just like not enough there. But I think that they're like, I'm very fascinated by the potential for that because that does make complete sense.
Totally.
But
Totally. Let's hit the next one. Everyone's favorite topic. If you've been listening to the show for a while, you probably know how we feel about these. Fat burners, right? Look, I get it. Okay, dieting to lose weight, it sucks. And it's normal to want to look for anything that might make it easier. But the vast majority of fat burners, they're just fundamentally misleading. There's really only two ways you can speed up fat loss, and that's to either increase how many calories you're burning or decrease the amount of calories you're eating, mainly through appetite suppression. No natural supplement can really do that to a meaningful effect outside of like caffeine. And even that's not going to make the biggest difference. I'm going to give fat burners as a whole, 90% of the fat burners out there, I would give an F. The other 10%, I might give a D, just because there are some interesting ingredients we've covered before, like caffeine, like yohimbine, which might have a small application if you're already at extremely low body fat percentages. Like I know a lot of competitors use yohimbine leading up to stage prep to really help with stubborn fat, but you're not going to notice a difference taking it if you have normal body fat levels. So I'm going to give it a D just because it's mostly gimmicky ingredients, but that's about it.
That's why I gave it an F for, I'm a hater. I'm going to be here to hate. But that reason why I was teetering between D and F is like, that is such a small, minute subset of the population that could potentially see a benefit, that for the general public, like, no, like nobody needs to take a fat burner. Like we just talked about caffeine, which I'm looking at, like caffeine could have an indirect effect on your weight if you are not as hungry after having some caffeine, if it helps with the hunger a little bit.
Yeah.
But fat burners specifically marketed as a fat burner, no.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, just fundamentally misleading by the title of
yeah.
it is where it's like that. That's my big ick with it.
Yeah.
Is like there's some small application, but I hate the name of it. I hate how it's mostly promoted. So I'm with you there, which leads us straight into our next one, which honestly I think might be the most. I'm going to say this carefully. Don't just take this and run if you're listening to this. The most advantageous fat burning quote unquote supplement, because it's not supplemental in the US, it's over the counter medication. Ephedrine, which we've talked about a few times, which actually mostly trended on Reddit. Doesn't shock me though. It's not available in supplement form, at least in the US. It's in over the counter asthma medications like Broncaid. We've talked about this in different episodes here and there, and how I think it can be actually pretty helpful in certain fat loss phases because it's a powerful stimulant to increase your metabolic rate, but it also crushes your hunger better than any natural compound really out there. I use it on most of my cuts getting towards the end of them. I've had clients use it before as well. It's huge in the bodybuilding community. It's known as like the EC stack because when you stack it with caffeine, around 20 to 25 milligrams of ephedrine, 1 to 200 milligrams of caffeine a couple times through the day, it really does an insane job at zapping hunger. So I'm going to go B. I'm honestly going to go B, but I have a little hesitation with there being that high.
I gave it
What do you
C
think?
because I think just for the general population, well, one, you can't just get it as a supplement. So it's definitely more niche. Like I see it being something that the bodybuilding community can use and use safely. I look at, steroids. Like I'm not going to recommend it. I'm not putting this in like the same category as steroids. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But something the
Good shout out, though.
bodybuilding community does well is they take seriously. It's their body. Their body is their life, right? So like
Yeah.
cycling on and off of this is important. This is not something you want to take forever. The potential to take it the wrong way and use it in a way that can make your relationship with food really shitty, that's really high up there. Like for you to take it and then not have it and your hunger to be all up and down and all over the place. Unfortunately, the general population of Americans, like, we just want a quick, easy fix. So if we hear something that's not going to make us
That's very
hungry,
true.
we're going to get it and we're going to take a ton of it, right? But the bodybuilding community is not, people can say what they want. They're not like that. They're not going to go around with that's going to bite them in the ass in the long term. They're going to be safe about it and they're going to.
Most of the time. But
Yeah.
very valid
Yeah.
point.
So looking at the greater whole, there's people that abuse everything and everything. You know, there's like the extremists.
Yeah.
So sorry, I should have clarified that. Thank you. But
No, but that was a fantastic point.
yeah, I think compared to the general population, they're going to take it a lot more seriously. But there is its effectiveness. Yeah, it's there. That's for sure. It is effective. It works. So that's why I put it as a C. But because of who it could apply to, not being, I wouldn't say it's as broad. That's where I put it as C, and just like the potential abuse factor.
I think you're gonna change my mind. I'm gonna if there was like a B minus C plus, I think I'd be with you there because you're right. Like it's very useful in specific applications when training and diet and lifestyle are dialed in.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of people, that's the problem in the first
Mhm.
place, is not getting there. So I'll give it honestly. I'll downgrade to a C because I actually agree with that. That was a good point. What's up next?
Next, we have Berberine, which is nature's Ozempic. Now that is trending that they're calling nature's Ozempic again is green tea. I know that's not on the list, but I remember a few months ago when Berberine started trending, I was like, there's just going to be another nature's Ozempic in a few months and no one's going to give a about Berberine. Right now it's green tea. Oh, this makes my skin crawl. But Berberine is a bioactive compound that can be extracted from a bunch of different plants. And there's studies that do look at berberine mainly in animals. So there's not very, very little human data. And it plays a key role in regulating metabolism and energy levels in animal studies. But its effects on the few human studies we do have are in type 2 diabetics because of its effects on blood sugar. Many studies have shown that berberine can be effective at lowering blood glucose levels in people with type 2 diabetes. So it works well in combination with lifestyle changes and can have additive effects when used with other blood sugar lowering drugs. Definitely something to talk about with your doctor if you are a type 2 diabetic. But that is like huge. Like it can be really helpful there for that specific population of people. It as nature's Ozempic, for using it for weight loss. There was a systematic review and meta-analyses of 12 studies that found that it can moderately reduce body weight in those with type 2 diabetics, but these studies also included other lifestyle changes. So these groups were also undergoing other diet lifestyle changes as well. So, and it's an indirect effect, right? So when you are diabetic and you have your blood sugar at regular levels, that's going to help keep your hunger at bay. So it's more so an indirect effect in type 2 diabetics who are having more of this like hunger lowering effect. My hunger isn't as all over the place as a potential. It's an aid.
Yeah.
It's not going to smash hunger or anything, but it could have that potential indirect effect on weight. But for the average person
who's not diabetic,
this can actually be really dangerous if it is, because there have been people reporting, this is just when it was trending on social media, reporting feeling very fatigued from it and very tired, lethargic, like brain fog. It's because it's bringing your blood sugar down to dangerously low levels, which is you do not want that. So, and also like despite the study's results from this meta-analyses, we can't know if the weight loss was even due to berberine in the first place. Like these studies weren't specifically just looking at supplementation with berberine and weight loss because there were no controls for diet and lifestyle. So at the end of the day, for weight loss in the general population, there is no data showing that it is effective for that. There is potential downfalls to it that can make it very dangerous if you are not diabetic and you're having your blood sugar at dangerously low levels. All of the weight loss claims benefits are mainly just anecdotal, and we would need more research in the general population.
Which is funny to me because I'm like, no berberine company promotes or markets it towards fat loss at all.
No.
That's the funny thing for me.
Yeah.
Like no berberine company does that. It's the people who, I think it's just because when people learned Ozempic was a medicine for type 2 diabetics, and then they saw berberine also being an herb that type 2 diabetics use. That's where I think they just drew the connection. Like, oh, it's the same thing. It's both for type 2 diabetics. It does the same thing. It doesn't at all, which cracks me up. But that's right. I'm like, it can be actually very helpful at regulating blood sugar for that small subset of population, like type 1 and 2 diabetics.
That's why I put it at D and not F. Like,
okay.
If we're talking
I'm
like just for weight loss in the general population, F. But
okay. Yeah, weight
yeah,
loss F, but
but
as general, Berberine's a D,
yeah, D,
a D for sure.
because I do think,
And yeah, I'm like, people are still. I know this. People are worried about insulin and their blood sugar. If you're not diabetic or pre-diabetic, it's should be one of the last things you are actively thinking
yeah,
about for your health. It blows my mind. That's a whole nother rabbit hole that we'll go down though on another. Next up is electrolyte supplements, which I've had I want to say a change of heart. I've changed my mind on a little bit in the past. Now, for reference, electrolytes, there are 7 of them: sodium, magnesium, potassium, chloride, phosphate, bicarbonate, calcium. Now, this is another one like mushrooms, kind of like pre workouts, where the actual electrolyte supplement you get makes a big difference. The biggest 3 electrolytes that humans don't get enough of in their diets are magnesium, potassium, which I believe 98% of people fall short on, and calcium. Those are the big 3. So if you're getting an electrolyte supplement that I think has a higher dose of those 3 specifically, I think an electrolyte supplement could be very useful. The downfall with these for me is that most of them are essentially just table salt. They are 95% filled with salt and less than 1 or 2% of the other actual electrolytes. Like Element, for example, is over a gram or 1,000 milligrams of salt and less than 2% of the RDA for magnesium and potassium. So next to nothing, right? It's just salt. And salt, I know it's marketed like this. It's not going to really make a difference in your workouts, in your cognition, unless you are already getting not enough of it through your diet, which can be fixed with a pinch of salt on your food
mm,
through the day, right? So some good brands are like Gatorlyte or Body Armor, which are really solid with bigger ones. But I think overall, these are mostly overhyped. I would rank electrolyte supplements as a whole in like a C to a D tier because most of them suck.
yeah,
Element is an F tier scam.
yeah. I gave them C just because for a similar reason, I don't lean towards D because I do think, especially if you do high endurance activities, say you're a runner or something, and you lose a significant amount of electrolytes and sweat, I do think it's important to replenish your hydration with some electrolytes. Pay attention to that, especially with sodium. But because so many of the supplements are just like bad and overpriced, I couldn't put it any higher.
The one problem I have with how it's marketed is all of the research, which there is actually a good amount of it on like endurance, more specific athletes, like marathon runners
Mhm.
and things like that. You're right. Replenishing the sodium makes a difference after the event is already over.
Yeah.
There is multiple studies looking at that shows zero benefit to the actual training when you take just electrolytes or just sodium or just salt during a marathon. You notice the benefits
That's fair.
afterwards,
Yeah.
but not during performance unless it's coupled with carbs or sugar, because that's
Yeah.
something well documented to improve performance. So that's where I think it's just overhyped. Where
Well,
it's like, oh, well, I work out super hard. And it's like, well,
and
even then, I'm like, it's not, salt's not super helpful outside of your
yeah,
food, you know?
and so many people are like, I personally, big fan of liquid IV if I've been drinking and have it, like, for
For hangovers, A
hangovers,
plus.
but the main reason, like, liquid IV has sodium, but it's like 24% of your daily value. It has potassium, but only 8% of your daily value. The main reason why I take liquid IV for my hangovers is because it has so many B vitamins, like all the different types of main B vitamins. It has like 120% of your daily value, 240%, like 190%. So it's great for those. Those are energy vitamins. And also it has sugar. It has 11 grams of sugar, which is also good
Yeah.
for my hangover. It has a little bit of the electrolytes, but that's not going to be the main thing helping me with my hangover. It's the B vitamins and the sugar. And it makes,
And yeah, even
yeah.
performance, like the sugar's helpful, which cracks me up because most electrolyte supplements advertise no sugar or no carbs as one of their benefits.
I know.
It's like that is actively making it worse at hydration, not better,
Yeah.
which makes me laugh about like the elements of the world, which is just a whole nother funny story. But what's up next?
Cool. Just needed to make sure. Some people will be like, "You're a hypocrite. You drink liquid IV." I'm like, "I do. I do." But next is
Yeah,
multivitamins.
case dependent for sure.
Multivitamins. All right. People most
All right.
likely to benefit from a multivitamin are those who are unable to consume a wide variety of foods. This is often for financial reasons, low income, low socioeconomic status, certain parts of the world, like may struggle to get these nutrients. But unfortunately, but not surprisingly, low income individuals are least likely to spend their money on a multivitamin. So
Yeah.
that's like nowadays, a lot of people take multivitamins as this like insurance policy. Like it's just going to cover all of my bases, prevent me from all these deficiencies, make me healthier. And it's like so far from an insurance policy. Like the best insurance policy is a healthy diet. That's your insurance policy. What is going to be effective, right, is targeted supplementation with clinical doses of vitamins and minerals you are low in. That is effective. These multivitamins typically have like either really small doses of the vitamins and minerals you might be more likely to need and super high doses of vitamins and minerals you don't need. Like think of like vitamin C, like certain vitamins and minerals that are cheaper and very easy to get in your diet. And that is where it's hard because you want to make sure that you're taking what you actually need to take. And a multivitamin is not addressing that concern. So you're going to be spending your time like much better and your money if you're taking a specific supplement for a specific like insufficiency in your diet, like say magnesium, like say vitamin D. So that's why I put it at D tier.
That's my big thing with them is they're not usually going to help as much as just targeting the specific nutrients in your diet that you're not getting enough of.
Yeah.
That's what people are always asking. What are the best 5 supplements everyone should take? I'm like, it just depends. Track your food with Chronometer for a week. See what you're not getting enough of. For myself, I don't get enough magnesium in my diet. So supplementing with a high dose of magnesium makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're getting enough magnesium, you don't need a magnesium supplement. Same thing here. Most multivitamins that are just like a pill and 80 ingredients, they're not going to have enough of anything in there. And the better ones, it's hard to be practical with a lot of the better, like actual high dose multivitamins. Legion has a very high dose, but you're also taking 8 pills, 8 capsules is one serving,
Yeah.
which makes sense because you actually need that much to actually get the dose. A lot of the better ones, I think Thorne, same thing. You're taking a lot of different pills, but even then, you would notice a much bigger difference in things like your energy, your sleep, your fatigue, your performance, your cognition by just bringing the ones that are below baseline up to baseline.
Yeah.
The vitamin Ds, the magnesium, the things like that. So I'm going to give it like a C minus, I'm going to say, for multis for all the reasons you kind of gave too. Next one's a quickie. I am honestly shocked this is still trending. BCAAs, branch chain amino acids. What the heck are we doing here, guys? Like, why are these still up here? Not only has there been plenty of human research on BCAAs, but it all comes back consistent that they don't do anything, zero benefit when you're getting enough protein in your diet. That is proven over and over and over again. And if you're like, well, what if I don't get enough protein in my diet? Then that is a much bigger problem you should solve first before you spend $50 on a BCAA supplement. And same thing goes for EAA supplements. I know people are trying to argue that now. It's not. They don't help your recovery. They don't help with muscle soreness. They don't do anything for building muscle or burning fat. F tier. That's where I'm putting it.
I also put them at F. It's just such a waste of time and money.
It's shocking to me.
Yeah.
Shocking to me how people like that's still a trending thing. Now, next is actually one very similar. It's HMB, which we've talked about on the podcast before, but this is similar to, is it even kind of like Berberine in the sense where the marketing sucks on it. I think it has one practical use case, but it's marketed to boost your muscle growth, to increase your endurance and your power output, to speed up your recovery, to decrease rates of muscle protein synthesis. It doesn't do a thing for muscle growth, endurance, power output. It doesn't do a thing for all of that. What it is, it's a metabolite of the amino acid leucine. So it's just at a higher dose. But the one thing it is really good at and studied to be good at is decreasing rates of muscle protein breakdown. And this is even tested mostly in things like cancer patients or people who are not eating hardly enough food or very bedridden to help preserve muscle mass. It's something that I took on my month hiatus from the gym after my surgery to just as a little safety net to hold on to as much muscle as I can. I've also talked about it potentially being useful before fasted training sessions. I work out in the mornings as well, but it's not going to make a big, meaningful difference. I was thinking C, but I'm going to be honest. I'm going to go D tier because 90% of people this would make no difference in. There's a small set of the population and it'll make a very small difference.
Yeah, that's why I gave it D as well. Just like doesn't apply to them.
We're going double Ds?
Double D? We got a lot of Ds, to be honest.
Okay, we going We got that is I think that might be the popular
Yeah.
tier. We gotta check that at the end of the video.
Yeah.
What's next?
Next is L-Glutamine, which, oh god, is such a popular gut health supplement still. But it's an amino acid found in protein-rich foods. So most people are getting enough through their diet. The only time you're going to find a need to supplement with it if is under times of significant stress. So think of an illness, injury, if you're going through surgery. So your body's experiencing traumatic conditions. But
Not just to clarify, not like a hard day at work,
no,
right?
no,
Like we're
no,
talking
no.
surgery,
Yeah.
sickness. Okay, just wanna
Yeah.
clarify.
So the majority of research main benefit from glutamine, if you're looking at human data, is its improved outcomes in trauma, burns, and injuries, especially in like a hospital setting. That is what it's very effective for. We're talking about L-glutamine mainly for gut health here. So that's like what we're specifically focusing on. And where it's gotten its like this gut health benefits is because of this idea that L-glutamine does play an important role in intestinal cell growth, repair, and maintenance. That's just its job. But again, hear what I said in the beginning. We're getting enough from our diet. If you're eating a protein-rich diet, it's very, very rare to see a deficiency in L-glutamine. Unless if you are under these conditions of trauma. So that is why for me, I gave it a D tier because it is not going.
The people who are taking it, it's not gonna really help, right?
Yeah, for the majority of people, just as a general gut health supplement, we have enough glutamine. You have enough of it. The average person is not deficient in glutamine. So adding more of it is not going to do anything. That's why this is so crazy to
Yeah,
me.
so I'm with you. I ranked it D as well, just because that's how I saw it mainly marketed is as a de-bloating
Yes.
supplement for women on social media.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Like these people aren't people who are getting out of surgery or illness and taking it short term. It's being marketed mostly, and I guess not from these companies who are just selling L-glutamine, but mostly by the public
Yeah.
as this magic gut health elixir. And it
It does.
isn't that. It has very specific and small use cases. So I'm with you. I
Yeah.
went D on that one.
Yeah. Next one
Give me the next one.
is
Give it to me.
is creatine. And this, I mean, I feel like you could predict our answer for this. It is the single most studied, safe, and effective supplement you can buy to improve your performance in the gym. Period. I mean, that's why, like, short answer, S tier. Like, there is so much research. We talked about it over and over again on its positive effects on strength, power, fat free mass, daily living performance, even neurological function now in both young and old people. Over 66 studies have shown it increases power output. 15 studies show it helps decrease fatigue and increase fatigue resistance during training. At least 3 studies showing promising data for its role in major depressive disorder. 19 studies shows that it increases anaerobic capacity. S tier. Like, at the end of the day, it's not magic. It's not going to magically make you be the Hulk and have all this muscle. You've got to still be training, paying attention to your diet, but it's going to give you that extra little push.
And that's the thing that for me that separates S tier from A tier is how many people could actually benefit from taking it.
Yes.
It's normally been thought of as just a gym supplement or just a muscle building supplement. But with all of the research being shown on how supportive it can be for not only building muscle, but preserving lean mass while you're dieting, preserving strength while you're dieting and losing fat for heart health, for depression, for older individuals and aging,
Mhm.
for cognitive function, with even diseases like Alzheimer's. I've told this story 100 times. I literally get that for my grandma for Christmas every
Yeah.
year, and she freaking loves it. I think this should be honestly in multivitamins. If you could fit
Yeah.
5 grams, which is the clinical dose, in a multivitamin, that'd be very hard without like 20 pills.
Yeah.
But I'm going S tier too because I really think everybody training or not training, young, old, male, female, would benefit from
Creatine.
taking it. And I know, shout out to just real quick, there's like 10 different forms of creatine. Please do not waste your money on any form other than monohydrate, or it's called micronized monohydrate, which is just finely ground, which is a little bit easier on digestion if that gives you a problem. I was telling you before this, I don't care if I'm spilling tea. What's her name? Miss Carrie Jean. She has a supplement brand called Mini Beast. She has millions of followers. Just came out with this creepy, weird AI edited video about this new patented form of creatine, Crealkaline, which she didn't patent. It's been around for 10 years. Don't know where that claim came from. It's $50 freaking for 50 1.5 gram servings. It blows my mind. That's about $1 a serving. You could get creatine monohydrate from bulk supplements on Amazon for 6 cents for that much a serving. It is 19 times more expensive and has zero benefits.
Mhm.
None of these other forms of creatine, no matter what you're marketed or sold to, remember that lesson up front. They don't need any proof or evidence to say what they're saying. Oh, this form of creatine helps with bloating. This form of creatine
Yeah.
helps with strength better. You don't need evidence to show that because there is no evidence. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Rant over. Sorry about that. On creatine. Next one up. This one might be my dog today.
Yeah.
My underdog of the day. Vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, which is also a hormone. Most people don't realize because your body produces it in sunlight, but you can also take it. It's estimated, and we did a whole episode on this, that 3 out of every 4 people don't have enough vitamin D in their bodies. And low vitamin D isn't just tied to weak bone health, which people previously thought, but low testosterone and estrogen, testosterone in men, estrogen in women, low thyroid output, high levels of fatigue and low energy, poor sleep, damaged cardiovascular and immune health. It is one of the biggest vitamins in your body that deals with how good you feel, bottom line. And most people, I live in San Diego, one of the sunniest cities in the world. When I got my blood levels tested, it was on the line of deficient and insufficient. I was so far below. And supplementing with it, I take the one from Legion, but I know Nature's Made. There's a lot of good brands on Amazon too. Over the course of a couple months of being consistent with supplementing, night and freaking day on how you feel through the day, just energy, mood, fatigue. It's outrageous to me. I think this is an S tier for me.
Yeah.
This is, I think, the last S tier I might be given.
Yeah.
It's
Also
phenomenal.
S for me. Just how hard it is to get in just from diet alone as well. Take it year round. Like, it doesn't matter how sunny the place is that you're living in. And also just can't hurt. It can't hurt. It's very similar to
Yeah.
magnesium for me. How would I compare vitamin D and magnesium? Would I like recommend one over the other? I don't know. But still, like, it's
Those are yeah, for me, it's like at magnesium level.
yeah,
You're right.
there's no harm in taking it unless for some reason, like, I could obviously see at like a clinical level specific need if it interacts with a drug or something, but like most people need it. Like, most people do need to
Yeah.
supplement with it, and it makes such a difference, like such a difference. So, vitamin D.
But to your point, because a lot of people don't think they need it because they're like, oh, I go on a walk every day. I get a little bit of sunshine. I did too, but when you think about it, like you have to be in direct sunlight with most of your body hitting it
Yeah.
at a high UV for 15 to 60 minutes, depending on the person. When I go on a walk, I've got a t-shirt on, shorts, socks on. This much of my skin is actually showing.
Yeah.
I got SPF on my face. If you ever get a blood test done, please ask your doctor, pay the extra fee to add vitamin D on there. Our panel with Merrick has vitamin D in there included too. It might shock you how low levels might be and how much of a difference you can notice
Yeah.
in so many pieces.
Mhm.
Even strength, a new research paper just came out on how much it can increase your strength, which is cool. But what's up next, yo?
Next is probiotics, which this is just, I feel like they're always going to be a popular one. And we do have a
Mhm.
whole episode on this if you want to deep dive. But gut health, I mean, it's so complex. It varies from person to person, which is why any gut health supplement would never be an S tier because our gut microbiome is so unique and complex. We're never going to get to the level where it's like this is going to help the majority of the population. That's just not how gut health is. And diet is the principal driver of our gut health and lifestyle. Those are the biggest pieces. A supplement, if any, is going to have a small effect. The level of effectiveness is going to vary, but much of our knowledge on probiotic mechanisms, how they work, is mainly in vitro and animal studies. The human data, we don't have many randomized control trials, but there is more like epidemiological studies. But we're still not completely there yet, but I think we definitely will be in the future. We want to have a good balance of good and bad gut bacteria. The best way to do that is from eating mainly whole foods, eating plenty of fiber. However, not everyone can eat all these whole foods all the time, which is why a good, high quality probiotic, I wouldn't say you're going to notice like a huge physiological effect, but on the inside, you can know, okay, like I'm helping create that symbiosis, which is a balance of the good and bad gut bacteria. So that's where like I take a probiotic every single day because it's just kind of like covering all my bases. No, I can't hurt. Do I take one that's a bit more expensive? Yes, because there aren't a lot of good ones on the market. But it's not something that I would say every single person has to take. I would not go to that level at all. But especially with certain functional GI disorders, along with dietary interventions, a probiotic could be very helpful. So for me, I give it a C tier for that reason, because one, like there's not really a negative side of taking them.
I think in the future, the more we learn about it in the gut, I think it will be, I would raise my rating on this in the future the more we know about it.
Mhm.
The thing that holds me back from giving it a higher rating than I'm going to is just like the volume of bacteria in your gut and the impact. Like it seems like in very specific use cases like IBS or coming off of a heavy round of antibiotics, this could be something super, super helpful. But for a lot of people to actually notice a difference, there's just not a lot of data that supports normal people taking it and noticing something. But there is like a ton of data on things like prebiotic fiber from your
Yeah.
diet having a massive impact on your gut bacteria. And I think it's because most, I don't know what is seed, because that's
Seed
probably
is
one of the
a
highest
pre
qualities. But do you know that what's the dose? Like how
Oh my god,
many?
it's their dosing is very they do it.
Because I know it's most are branded between like 5 and 50 billion live
Yeah.
bacteria is what it is, which sounds like an astronomically big number. But when you think about the gut that has over 100 trillion bacteria in it,
Yeah.
it's the equivalent to putting a drop of water in a pool of 20,000 drops. Like that's the scale of what it is. So it's just such a small amount of what would be needed compared to the other big things. So I put it at D just because specific use cases helpful.
Yeah.
Most people not super, but I do think in the future, the more we learn about it, it's going to be something that
Yeah.
will be a lot more popular.
Yeah.
Y'all, we got 3 freaking left. Ride with us. We got 3, a couple, not so great. 1, we got another high rank, maybe. Next one on the list is something that's been trending more and more. I noticed it trending after the Huberman Lab did a podcast episode on them. And it's just the term of peptides, which faces a similar problem to a lot of other things we've done today. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of different peptides that are aimed to do different things. Most of them are complete crap. They don't do anything. They've been studied to even not do anything. There are some that look promising, like MK677 has a pretty massive effect on growth hormone. It increases growth hormone comparable to injecting endogenous growth hormone in your body, like taking it as a steroid. So that might help in certain bodybuilder situations. BPC 157 is an interesting one that we talked about. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago to help with recovery? Most others just are complete crap. I think the most promising one to be talked about is BPC 157, which we discussed. They're way overhyped. They're so freaking overhyped. I'm gonna go D to D minus, honestly. And even the thing with BPC 157 MK that I talked about, they have zero long term data either. So we really don't know if there's a long term negative effect on them. So I'm gonna go D to D minus just because of that reason alone.
Yeah, I almost gave it F, but I gave it D. Uh,
Yeah.
it's just
The couple ones are the ones that saved it for me. The BPC kind of saved it for me.
yeah.
But that was a good one. We talk more about peptides over there and in the AMA too, if you want to learn more about those specifically. But second to last for the day, another one that I'm almost shocked with trending, but still not.
I wasn't too
We all
shocked.
want, give me the testosterone.
Testosterone.
Testosterone booster supplements, right? 99% of testosterone boosters straight up have been studied and shown to have zero effect at all or a very minimal effect. The only actual supplement that looks like it might have an actual effect on testosterone is Tongat Ali, mainly in people who are hypogonadic or have clinically low testosterone in men to start with, not women. But even then, and this is where I want to put this in perspective, Tongat Ali still only boosts testosterone levels by a little bit. Normal testosterone levels in men are between 300 and 1100 nanograms per deciliter. Tongat Ali has been studied at best to raise it 50 to maybe 100 nanograms per deciliter, which sounds like a lot, but say this with me. We almost need to put this on a t-shirt. It's statistically significant, but statistically significant does not always mean clinically important,
Yeah.
right? Just because it has an effect that's measurable doesn't mean you're going to notice any difference. So if you're a man, it's not going to make any difference in muscle building, in fat loss, in how you feel, in your energy, in anything that's ever tied to testosterone. A small raise like that is not going to make a difference. For reference, if you're injecting testosterone, like you see bodybuilders do, people on social media do, it's not just raising your testosterone by 50 to 100 nanograms. It can raise it in the thousands to 10,000s in your body. So super physiological levels. And that's where you're going to see the muscle building benefits, the fat loss benefits, all of the benefits purported to testosterone that you see when people take steroids. It's because they're raising their human levels to up to 10 times the natural limit,
Yeah.
not giving it like a 1 or 2% little boost. So, like, honestly, testosterone, I'm going F, like F tier. There's just no reason to take
I
them.
also said F. I look at like testosterone boosters as like the de-bloat for men. Like how for women, like
Oh,
de-bloat
absolutely.
supplements are just like so heavily marketed towards women, and they just like blindly are like, yes, yep, this is it. I'm taking it. Reduce my bloating. Like that's how I
Okay,
look at testosterone. I don't know.
that's facts. To all, it's like the men's weak point.
Yeah.
Sex, muscle, strength, take testosterone. Like that's okay. That's spot freaking on, nail on the head. It is the de-bloat of men's supplements. All right, last one of the day. Are we going good? We going bad? What do we got?
I think we're going good. We are going good with fish oil supplements. I'm a big fan of fish oil supplements, aka your omega-3 fatty acids. Our body cannot produce omega-3s. We have to get them from our diet. They are so, so, so important for reducing inflammation in the body, for heart health. And this is like fish oil, especially for Americans, because omega-3s are found they're in whole foods. Like they're in fatty fish, they're in grass-fed beef, they're in eggs, walnuts, chia seeds, flax seeds. Like you're going to get them as part of a whole foods diet, but you're not going to see them in an ultra processed foods diet. So like the standard American diet, very deficient in omega-3 fatty acids, which is why most Americans can benefit from taking a fish oil because it's that concentrated omega-3. Specifically, you want to look at EPA and DHA. And when those levels are low, when your levels of EPA and DHA are low, when you increase them, you'll see improvements in mood, cognitive performance, reduce muscle and joint soreness, improve fat loss and muscle gain. You're going to decrease your risk for heart disease, and you can see benefits to your cholesterol. There are so many benefits from taking an EPA/DHA supplement that I recommend it to so many people. Again, like you want to focus on eating a whole foods diet first, but especially if you are, I would say, like getting into nutrition, starting to pay more attention to your diet. This is one where I'm like, take a fish oil, like do it, cover your bases, like no harm coming from it. So many benefits. There's so much research in heart health and fish oil supplements in humans and the benefit of taking fish oil. I mean, it's recommended by like doctors often prescribe it in combination with a lot of prescription medications because of the data available. And you want to make sure you're taking like a good dose. Like dosage obviously matters. So you want to look for like 500 milligrams to 1.8 grams of combined EPA and DHA. Larger doses are like there's so much research even undergoing, but that's like the clinically effective dose. And again, like this is gonna like omega-3s are so important in the anti-inflammatory process that it's gonna have a wide array of health benefits like internally that I cannot recommend fish oil enough. When you look at this is why the Mediterranean diet, people push it so much, is because the Mediterranean diet is so, so high in omega-3s. And you'll look at these, they're called like blue zones in parts of the world in certain countries where you see little to no heart disease. And these people eat primarily Mediterranean diets really, really high in omega-3s, fish, a certain oils, certain like healthy fats. And that is like, so yeah, fish oil. Big proponent for it. I'm not going to give it an S tier because if you are focusing on eating a whole foods diet and you eat seafood and like chia seeds and flax seeds are super high in omega-3s, like I would say like you don't need it. But not everyone eats like that all the time, and it's definitely harder to do. But that's why I don't give it S, but A definitely.
Yeah, I was gonna say because not many people eat enough of that kind of food. I personally don't. Like, you have to work for it.
Yeah.
And I think this is one where, because most of the supplements that I've rated A or higher, you notice a difference in your day to day pretty quickly when you start taking them. Omega-3, I think, is one that you're noticing more long
Yeah.
term for your health, and benefits come from that.
Mhm.
It's not like you're going to take it in the morning and just feel energized
Yeah.
all of the sudden. But like you were saying, it's just one of those that I couldn't give it an S tier, same reasoning for you. I'm going to go A tier. The hard part with this one and to look out for is getting a high enough dosed fish oil is big,
Yeah.
because I know when you look at most fish oils, like at the grocery store, it will list the dose of fish oil, but then underneath it, it categorizes it into EPA and DHA amounts. And even if something has, like, for example, I think Now, or is it Nature's Made,
Nature's Made.
is a very common one at the grocery store, has 2,400 milligrams of fish oil, but only 600 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA. So most fish oil supplements, you're just not going to notice a benefit unless you take freaking 20 pills. And getting a higher dose one matters. I know Ultra Omega by Now is one that gives about 1 to 2 total grams. Triton by Legion is the one that I've been
Really
taking
good.
for so long, because that's honestly, other than Ultra Omega by Now, the only one that I've found at a very high dose.
Yeah.
So that's the important part, because it can be a little pricey too, getting a higher dose. And that's what makes a lot of people choose the cheaper versions. But just know, if you're choosing a cheaper version, something that's like 10, 15 bucks, don't be surprised when you look at the dose and you're like, oh, I would need to take 10 doses to get one dose of a higher dose.
Mhm.
Dose. So I go A with that one as well.
Yeah.
I go with that one as well, which I think, I'm not going to lie, I think we went a little over 20. So we got like 21, 2 or 3, something up there. But that was our top trending supplements. Maybe we'll do this every year as the list changes.
I know.
We'll see.
There's gonna be
But,
similarities always, but
and let us know in the comments below or in the little enter section if you disagree with us on any. Maybe you have some points. And please, 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 if you do disagree with us, because we want to hear if you do, list reasoning with logic for us. Don't just say this should be this. We love hearing things that might open our eyes or push us into a new direction.
sure.
We love it. Right. So be productive, do it. That was our top 20 trending supplements. I think that's about it. It's a good Monday. Remember, if you want to be beautiful, make beautiful choices, ladies and gentlemen,
Done.
and have a beautiful week. I read that this morning. It stuck with me. If you want a beautiful life, make beautiful choices. There was some Stoic philosopher from a long time ago. I forget the name, but we'll talk to y'all on AMA this Friday. Everybody else next Monday. Ta-ta.